A package worth nearly £6 million has been agreed with central government. Professor Stephen Broomhead is Chief Executive of Warrington Borough Council.
We're working out the detail. Clearly the hospitality sector and its supply chain will be priorities, but there will be other businesses that will be affected by Tier 3 restrictions, and we'll be working out the criteria for that next week.
A decision on whether Nottingham will go into Tier 3 could come later, while South Yorkshire goes into the very high category just after midnight. The row over free school meals is continuing after MPs rejected a proposal to continue them into England's half-term. Dozens of councils and local businesses have stepped in to offer to feed hungry children. McDonald's is dishing up 1 million free meals over the next 2 weeks. In sport, England's rugby union match with the Barbarians on Sunday has been cancelled due to a breach of COVID-19 regulations. The RFU says members of the opposition squad left their bubble twice this week. That's the latest. I'm Elizabeth Secker.
This is Revive FM 94.0.
Reviving communities.
The views expressed on this program do not necessarily represent those of Revive FM or its management.
Good afternoon, good afternoon. Hello, you are locked into Revive FM 94.0 on the Power Hour with Louise Power. This show is about community matters, diversity and inclusion, a platform for women, leadership, entrepreneurship and inspirational stories. And today I am extremely excited. I've got two beautiful, wonderful women here today. One is my cousin, Miss Lorianne Power. She is, and her sister-in-law, Emma Decay. Both of these women are criminal barristers and have residence at 25 Bedford Road, which is one of the country's leading set of criminal defence chambers. And both women are ranked Legal 500 and chambers at Chambers and Partners. Is that right? Yeah. You're both ranked Legal 500 and Chambers and Partners. And that is a directory that ranks the best lawyers in the country. So aren't I lucky that they are here today? Thank you for joining me.
Your absolute pleasure.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, so I'm just so glad to have you here today. Obviously, Lorianne's my cousin. Emma, we've known each other for a while as well.
We have.
Been to a few events, and I'm just really honoured to have you here today. I think you're both exceptional and very, very inspirational. Would you start off by introducing yourself and a little bit about your background and where you're from?
Emma Akudike is who I am. I'm a barrister. I've been in practice at 25 Bedford Row now for 27 years. My specialism is criminal defence work. I was born in the East London area. I was raised in the East London area. I schooled in the East London area, and I still live in the East London area. My parents came over to this country in the 60s, and I did my degree at the Polytechnic of Central London. Thereafter, I did the bar vocational course and then did my pupillage, which is like training essentially, in a civil set of chambers. I also then went on to the chambers where I am, and I've been in practice ever since.
Oh, that is awesome. Did you always know that you wanted to be?
Well, born to Nigerian parents, there were only a few careers that mattered. It was, you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. And
it was already paved up for you.
Absolutely, it was mapped out for me. I think if I'm being really honest, I wanted to be an actress, but my parents always said, you can perform in court and get paid.
We'll come back to that one a little bit later. And what about yourself, Maria?
Well, I am obviously your big cousin. I'm a barrister as well. I've been a barrister for nearly 21 years. And it's strange that Emma and I are sitting here because when I joined the profession, there were very few Black women barristers. Emma was one of the ones I'd heard about. She had a reputation even back then of being quite scary, quite formidable and really very good. So it's a real pleasure for me to sit here 20 years down the line as her sister-in-law. So it just shows you what dedication and perseverance can achieve. I too specialise in criminal defence work. Our practice is both jointly really involve serious criminal work like murder, terrorism, sexual offences and high-level drug offences. So we deal, once you get to our stage in the criminal justice system, you're really dealing with pretty heavyweight stuff. And so, I kind of came through the conventional route. I went to school in East London, same as Emma, born, raised, still live very close to East London. My roots were where I grew up. So I'm very proud to be an East Londoner, and I feel a great sense of affection. But also it's important to give back to the communities that we've benefited from.
And I'm so proud because I'm an East Londoner. We've got 3 East Londoners
Fantastic.
in the house today, 3 black women. So I think that, it's something to be really proud of. And it's uncanny, actually, isn't it, that Emma said that she was going to be an actress, because that was
absolutely. I have never even told her that, but
we're
Louise
probably all
we're all aspiring
frustrated.
actresses. Yeah, Louise and I used to go to Stratford Theatre Royal Drama School every Saturday.
That's amazing.
And here we are. Oh my goodness.
So maybe that, so ladies, I really wanted to talk to you about. I know that you're both mothers as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
So how are things balancing motherhood and a successful career as a barrister? How do you balance it all?
It's not easy, Louise, if I'm being really honest. There's times when you struggle with it, actually. There are times when I've missed those very important events to do with my children's school. If you're going to have a successful career and juggle parenting, usually something has to give. Sometimes you can't have it all, especially when you're a woman in this profession. But I do my best. And the way I now work is I get up very early in the mornings at about 5 o'clock. I try not to work in the evenings in the way that I once did, because family life just gives you those checks and balances that you need. There's times when you've got to stop. I'm unapologetic about the fact that I have children, and I'm quick to let judges know that if there's a childcare issue, my children are my priority. There are times when we clock watch. We usually sit till 4:30, and there's that feeling of, oh my goodness, I'm in this court, far away from home, far away from school. Am I going to get them in time? I also give a lot of credit to my husband. I'm very fortunate that I have a very supportive husband who shares the childcare duties with me. And so when I am struggling, he's there to assist. And I also try and make sure that my practice is pretty much in London and as close to the school as possible.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it, about having a really, really busy career. People don't realise how much sacrifice you actually have to make and how impacting that is as well.
Absolutely.
And what about yourself, Lillian?
I've kind of had 2 different experiences as a mother, because I was a very young mother. I got pregnant very soon after leaving school. So I was on this, road to becoming a lawyer, and doing my first year of my A-levels, I fell pregnant at 18. And so a very challenging time. And so I had to pull on all the resources, all the support that I could muster up. But I spent a lot of time away from my daughter, who's now 25. Mm-hmm. And as a woman, I thought that it was more important for her to see her mum out there, doing what she needed to do to support everyone. And so I spent a lot of time away from her. Now, I wish I could get some of that time back, but actually she herself is very independent, very strong-minded, very strong-willed. But as Emma rightly says, once the time is gone, it's gone. My son now is 9, and I'm a very different mother, because I prioritize his needs over and above everything else where I can. I can't always do it. Yeah. So sometimes you have to be out of London. Last year I spent 6 months in Nottingham. So I didn't see him for 6 whole months. And so it's about checks and balances. You need to be organized. Yeah. You need to appreciate, as Emma said, something's got to give, but actually the rewards really do outweigh.
Yeah. And, kudos to you, because being a really young mum and then still deciding to go into the career that you did is really commendable, because you could have decided, actually, do you know what? How am I going to actually be able to balance this? I'm a young mum, I've got a young child, and I'm still going to persevere in my career. Was there any contingencies or anything that you put in place for yourself to be able to keep that vision, so to speak?
I didn't have a plan B. I had one plan, and it was that or die. Wow. And so that was always I appreciate that not everyone can kind of form that that maturity or that mindset at
Yeah.
a very young age. But when you're pregnant with a baby and then you have a baby at 18 and, you've got one choice, really. You've got to succeed for your child.
Yeah.
And so that I didn't have a plan B. My plan A was I'm going to be a barrister, and that was it.
And I think as well, I remember you saying something about your grandfather saying, encouraging you. What was that again?
Well, that was the seed that, because I always knew that, I had something to say. I went to a school literally just around the corner where people who had something to say were shut down very quickly. I was excluded from school 7 times. And so when my granddad said to me, when I was chatting away, you talk so much, you're going to be a lawyer. It was a seed that was planted, and from then it just grew. What was a lawyer? What's a lawyer? And I would go around saying to everyone, I'm going to be a lawyer, I'm going to be a lawyer. I didn't actually know what it was, but eventually when I realized that actually I am a lawyer and a lawyer is me. And that's why it's really important to plant those seeds in the children from a very young age.
Yeah, I think that kind of leads me to go on to speak about that actually. We briefly spoke about it when we was talking about coming on the show, didn't we? How important it is to think about young people's talents and to recognize that, because sometimes those children have, to have those talents from a very young age, like your grandfather recognized in you. But then if it's not cultivated, then those talents can quickly be forgotten, or, and then people later on in life may think, oh, actually, do you know what, I wish I'd done that. So what do you think about in terms of the fact that, you have so many young people coming into the judicial system who are extremely talented and have got so much going for them, and sometimes don't you just think, what wasted talent? What isn't it just sad when you come across these young people in court that have got so much ambition and so much could be going for them?
Absolutely. And I often mentor these children. If it leads to a conviction and they are sitting in a cell after a trial, I make it my business to mentor them and to let them know that there is hope, that they have talents, they have a gift, and they really ought to use them in a positive way. Even when people have been convicted, I usually tell them that it's not the end of the road.
Yeah.
They've been given an opportunity and a chance to grow and develop into something fantastic. I tell them about the Nelson Mandela stories. He was imprisoned and look what he became. Malcolm X, look what he became. Muhammad Ali. And for those that are acquitted, I usually say to them, you've been given a second chance. Now you get out there and use the talents that you've got. Very important to nurture them. And it's very often that nobody has told them how wonderful and gifted that they are, and that they can be anything that they want to be. Nobody's actually told them that, and they need to hear it.
Yeah. And sometimes as well, I presume you see people coming back time and time again, and you have those conversations and you mentor them, and it must be a little bit frustrating because you think, oh my goodness, there's so much that you could be doing. Have either of you got an example where that mentoring has been effective and you've seen that person go away and turn their life around from that experience, either being sentenced or through something that you've been able to shine a light on them about?
I have. It's a really important point, Louise, because as many people as we see come through the criminal justice system time and time again, there are more people who come in once and that's it. That's their short, sharp shock. And they go out. We have to remember, as particularly young black males, sorry. As young black males, they are disproportionately represented.
Yeah.
But also the image, the stereotype that's portrayed of them doesn't actually fit what really occurs. So yes, young black males they go through the criminal justice system at a higher rate for a number of different reasons. We could sit here all day and argue. But there are huge success stories of young men coming out, going on. One client I had, going back 15 years, and he received a 15-year sentence. So we'll probably go back 17 years. He received a 15-year sentence, and he came out of prison about 3 years ago on day release. And I got this phone call into Chambers, And they said, "Oh, can we join this, connect this person to you?" And I said, "Doesn't sound right." I remember this client. Anyway, so he first of all said, "I've been waiting to make this phone call for 15 years. I just want to thank you.
Wow.
But I want to tell you that I did everything that you told me to do." So whilst he was in prison, he managed to get himself educated. He got on all of the courses, and then he came back out and he set up his own charity. That charity now is doing amazingly well. And this charity mentors boys just like him who serve sentences and come out and try to keep them on the straight and narrow. So yeah, there are success stories as well as failures.
These are the stories that, we need to hear. There's so much negativity in the press, isn't there? Especially towards our young black men about, what they're going through. And I think there are success stories. There are people that turn life around. And actually, these young people are disenfranchised from the community before they even start their little lives sometimes. And I'm sure you'll probably say that some of these young people that come into court don't even have the support of their parents at times.
Some of them don't turn up with parents, do they? I mean,
you're absolutely right, Louise. It is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And as Lorianne touched on, we do very serious crime in terms of our clients and who we represent. And you just look up into the public gallery at the Old Bailey, which is the most serious criminal court in the land. And
no one's there.
No one's there.
Yeah.
Who's come with you today? Nobody. Do you have an appropriate adult, which is somebody, a responsible adult that needs to be accompanying them to court? There's no one there. It is heartbreaking.
But representation is also really important. This is why I think one of the important messages that Emma and I like to spread when we speak to people is that it makes a huge difference to a young person to see someone in that courtroom on their side that looks like them.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
That understands their language, that can empathize with them. Because it doesn't mean that, they've not done something bad or they've not done something wrong. We're not there to excuse their behavior, but we're there to make the process for them easy enough so that they know, what, actually, I've listened. I'm not going to come back here again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what would be quite important to ask now is, what is a barrister? If somebody was listening to this show and they thinking, wow, this sounds extraordinary, I want to do this job, what would you tell them? If people can explain to somebody, what does a barrister actually do?
Shall I do the lawyer part and you do the advocacy part?
Okay,
All
absolutely
right.
fine. You go ahead.
Right. So essentially, we're lawyers. Mm-hmm. So we're qualified lawyers. Our specialism is in advocacy, essentially. So we are advocates. We go to court and we present our clients' cases on their behalf. So the lawyer side of it is that barristers sometimes specialize in particular areas, which means that you have quite sound and kind of well-developed understanding and knowledge of a particular area of law.
Right.
So we are then instructed by a solicitor. So people would have heard of solicitors. A solicitor will say, I want that barrister who's good at that to do this kind of case.
Right.
It might be because a barrister has a sound understanding of the murder, for example, and you would have to present legal arguments, draft documents, present arguments to the court, to the judge, advise your client on the law. Do they have a defense? Don't they? So that's the lawyer side of it. And we can do all of that without actually going to court. So there's the advocacy side of it, which Emma's going to explain.
Yeah, it's important to make the distinction that we are jury advocates. We are criminal defence practitioners. And so a barrister could actually represent the Crown, as in the prosecution, or the defence, or you can get a barrister that works in a completely different area of law, such as commercial, employment, drafting contracts, which may not necessarily always involve going into court. You can even get employed barristers, for example, those that work within local government or in-house. In terms of advocacy, our job is to persuade. It's to persuade the jury, who are 12 people from a cross-section of society, and who are our audience. And we've got to persuade them as defence lawyers to reach the right verdict. Preferably a not guilty verdict.
Always a not guilty
always a not guilty verdict. And so that's what we do. No 2 days are ever the same.
I can imagine.
We could be in court, the case collapses or it gets adjourned. We could end up going from court into a prison to advise your client. in terms of the evidence. You could be in the Court of Appeal, which is the court that you would go to once there's been a conviction, and you may wish to argue against the conviction being unsafe, or even argue against the sentence being too long and wanting to reduce the sentence. So you could be doing a bail application, trying to get your client out on bail. You could be doing a sentence.
Wow.
It's so varied.
There's also a kind of a social work element to it as well, because we've spoken about the vulnerabilities of the people that we represent by virtue of them being in court. So sometimes you have to identify very early on whether or not this is someone who may have some mental health problems,
Right.
whether or not this is someone who may have been the victim of trafficking,
It's very multifaceted, isn't it?
whether or not this is someone who is being put under pressure, duress. So we have to look at their personalities. We have to kind of make these judgment calls without really knowing the person. But things like mental health is a prime one, drug-induced psychosis, duress. So these are things that we also have to look out. And then we have to contact the relevant, we have to instruct our solicitors to contact
Signposting.
the relevant agencies to make sure that this person is fairly treated throughout the trial process, because we have to ensure as officers of the court that a fair trial is had.
And just picking up on that.
I'm just going to go into commercial break.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And this is so interesting. I'm like, my jaw is on the floor. Do not touch that dial. You're locked into the Power Hour with Sisters-in-Law. Be right back with you.
If you're looking for a unique bespoke cake made especially for your big day, then look no further. Here at Sugar Sprinkle Cakery, we designed some of the most imaginative and delicious home-baked cakes for your special occasions. We do fresh cream, buttercream, eggless and vegan cakes. Check us out on Instagram or Facebook at Sugar Sprinkle Cakery, or just call 07932 665 833. That's 07932 665 833.
मिनहाज वेलफेयर फाउंडेशन में आपका अतिया जिंदगी की उम्मीद आपकी मदद से मुमकिन हुआ। दुनिया भर में 30 लाख से ज्यादा खवातीन, बुजुर्गों और बच्चों तक साफ पानी की फ्राहमी, मुतासरा इलाकों में हंगामी इमदाद, यतीम और बेसहारा बच्चों की दादरसी। इस साल हम आपके ताउन से और आगे बढ़ना चाहते हैं। अपनी ज़कात, सदकात और खैरात के जरिए इन मंसूबों का हिस्सा बनिए। अभी कॉल कीजिए 0300 3030 777 या हमारी वेबसाइट विजिट करें www.minhajwelfare.org।
Here at Duncan Lewis Solicitors, we specialize in immigration and family law. We have a proven track record of successful applicants who we've helped secure permanent residency for. From spouse visas to seeking asylum, our expert advisors will assist you throughout the whole application process. We offer a free no obligation consultation, so call us now on 0208 432 3350. That's 0208 432 3350, or visit us at 298 Romford Road, London, E79HD.
Nikah, talaq, counseling on matrimonial disputes, Islamic wills, Islamic law of inheritance, or an Islamic verdict on any other issue. The Muslim Sharia Council is at your service. We provide official certification, and our experienced and highly qualified imams are available to provide you with guidance when needed. MQI London is based at 292 to 296 Romford Road, Forest Gate. We are open from Monday to Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. Or alternatively, call us now on 0208 257 1786.
Turkish Kitchen, the best Turkish food you'll ever taste. We only use the highest quality meat. Along with our mixed grill platters, we serve cold mezes, hot mezes, lahmacun, and a wide selection of fish options. To order for delivery or collection, call us now on 0208 507 8822. That's 0208 507 8822. Or visit us at 41 Ripple Road, Barking, IG11 7NT. We can also take group bookings and take care of all your party needs. The Turkish Kitchen, Barking.
Hello, I'm Ria from the Windrush Help Team. If you came to the UK before the end of 1988 and are struggling to prove your legal status, I could help. You may also be entitled to compensation. I'm here to answer your questions and talk you through the application process. Anything you tell us will be treated sensitively and won't be passed on to immigration enforcement. Visit gov.uk/Windrush Help Team.
The Windrush Help Team, here to support you and your family.
As winter approaches, here's a critical reminder of coronavirus symptoms from Dr. Gupta. The main symptoms of coronavirus are a high temperature or a new continuous cough, or a sudden loss or change in your sense of smell or taste. If you have any of these, to protect yourself and others, it is critical you isolate at home, even if you don't feel too bad. And you must book a test immediately. Use the NHS COVID-19 app or go to gov.uk/coronavirus.
Stay alert. Control the virus. Save lives.
Revive FM 94.0. On the radio. On your mobile. And online.
Hello, welcome back to the Power Hour with your host, Louise Power. This show is about community matters, diversity and inclusion, a platform for women, leadership, entrepreneurship and inspirational stories. And today in the studio, I have two amazing criminal defence barristers, my cousin, Miss Laurianne Power, and I have here Emma Akawu. I'm going to get it right. Akuwu-Dike.
Well done. Full marks, Louise.
Thank you. In the studio, and we've had a fantastic 20 minutes already of airplay, speaking about their backstory. They are both from East London, and they both wanted to pursue acting actually, but went in to pursue the wonderful career profession in law. So we were speaking before the break about the kinds of things that you come across in the courtroom with young people, and just how sad it is as well, where people have fallen short of support from their families, and you take all these different roles of mentor and social worker, and you've got such a multifaceted kind of role really that you have to do, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And we've got to be able to identify, like Laurianne said very early on, if there are mental health issues. So we engage with so many different professionals, psychiatrists, psychologists, you name it, intermediaries who are there to support vulnerable people in court to ensure that they can understand the court process.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask, for the people that may be thinking about entering into the profession, what do they need to be thinking about in terms of qualifications they need, or must they be part of the chambers, and what kind of experience, is it age bound, these sorts of things?
In order to become a barrister, you need to have a qualification. You can do a degree, going the conventional route, or you can do a degree of your choice. So you can do a law degree or a degree of your choice. If you choose to do a degree of your choice, you will still need to do the postgraduate diploma in law, which is like an intensive degree where you learn all those subjects that you would have learnt if you did a degree over the course of 3 years. After that, you have to do the professional bar qualification, which is called the Bar Professional Training Course, which I believe is for 1 year. Thereafter, you've got to do pupillage. Now, Laurianne does pupillage in chambers. She's in charge of pupillage. And I'll hand over to Laurianne in relation to exactly what pupillage is.
So it's the part that you effectively get to practice what you've been learning. So after you've done your academic stage of your training, which is compulsory, you then move on to being a part of a chambers. Now, the process of getting pupillage itself is extremely difficult. And I'm going to give you some really depressing statistics here as chair. And these things have really come to the fore during the course of this year because, of course, the issue of diversity and disparity and marginalisation has really been a hot topic. But you are twice more likely to get a pupillage if you are white and present with exactly the same qualifications from exactly the same establishment. And so that shows us that there is still a real serious issue at entry level. There is also problems in career progression and career retention.
Why that is?
Well, it can only be. Those statistics show you that it can only be because of race.
Yeah.
It's systemic racism, which the foundation of any institution really is based on in the Western world. But it's particularly prevalent within our profession. I do want to say, though, that we are making inroads and we are doing a huge amount of work. And it's really important for someone like me as chair of pupillage in my chambers. It's very important that people know that it's possible.
Yeah.
Since I've been head of pupillage in my chambers, every single year we have had at least one person of colour, but more like 2, and we only take 3. And that's been purely on merit. That's been purely on merit. And so it's really important that people do recognise, while there is still this issue, work is being done, and there are chambers who are open to changing. So pupillage, in a sentence, it's the training part of becoming a lawyer. You have a supervisor. It's for 12-month period of time. For the first 6-month period of time, you're not allowed to go into court on your feet on your own.
Right.
You follow your supervisor around, you watch him or her, they test you on things like your advocacy skills, your written work. You go through a whole process of education and training that we set within chambers, and we test our pupils continuously throughout their period. Once they've done that first 6 months, we call that's your first 6. Your second 6 months, you're on your feet.
Right.
So we say, okay, guys, there's your first brief. You go out to Timbuktu Magistrates Court.
Good luck.
And you represent. Good luck.
Wow.
But they have a supervisor at every single step of the way. After that period of, we do to 18 months. Most chambers do 18 months.
Right.
But after that period of 18 months of training,
do you remember your pupillage?
Oh my goodness.
Very much so.
Any stories about when you had to think fasten your feet in the early days, and you was like, wow, this is really overwhelming. What do I do now?
I remember really feeling quite sick about the prospect of going into court by myself, on my feet, no supervisor. There you go, you're on your own. And so I had worked up all this nervous energy only for the case to be adjourned. So I said absolutely nothing.
I was like, I'm going to win this case
Absolutely. And it didn't really happen.
I remember my first, that feeling was,
Oh, it's awful.
I remember my first ever client. I won't name him. I remember him, but he was blind.
Oh, no.
And he'd been remanded in custody overnight in this court.
Oh, no.
And it was the days where you went into the cells with
Oh,
them. Do you
goodness.
remember?
Yes,
Now
I do.
we're in
I
the
do.
conference room.
This is
But
your first client?
my first ever
Oh, my
case by
goodness.
myself. And
Yeah. And what happened?
well, he was blind. I didn't know what to do.
Oh, no.
So the first thing I did was run outside and phone my supervisor. And I said, he's blind. And then he's like, power. What have I taught you? Sort yourself out. Yeah.
Oh, no.
But yeah, they were really fun days, but really stressful days.
We forgot to mention that you've got to be a member of an Inn of Court as a barrister, because they are the only institutions that can actually call you to the bar. The bar being a vocation, it's just that you are called to the bar. There are 4 Inns of Court. There's Gray's Inn, Middle Temple, Lincoln's Inn, and Inner Temple. And yes, you've got to become a member. I'm so sorry. Yes, and the reason that you become a member is they can offer you scholarships, education, training, qualifying sessions, and the old-fashioned dining that we had to do.
Yeah.
It's like an old boys' network still. So you still have to have these dinners.
Yeah, you still have to do dinner.
12 of them.
I was going to ask you, is it like an old boys network?
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
there's
yeah.
something historic.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
That you have to be kind of signed up to these.
It's still very much like that. The inns are doing a lot more for diversity and inclusion. They have programs. And I have to say, had it not been for my inn, Middle Temple, I wouldn't be a barrister, because I got to the end of my degree and I got pupillage. But back then, pupillage wasn't funded and I had no money left. I'd been working. So obviously, I was a single parent, but my inn, I got a scholarship from my inn and they gave me back then £15,000. And then I got a scholarship to pay for my wig and my gown. And then they funded me right through to tenancy. So had it not been for me going to my inn and explaining to them, it was, yes, the interview process is quite difficult, but what they really want to see is that this is what you're passionate about. That's what you want to do. So for people, I think Emma raises a really important point about the inns, because a lot of people will be listening to this thinking, okay, it's great in theory, you want to be a barrister, but how much money does it cost to get to be a barrister? There is money available. The inns collectively have close to £5 million in scholarships that they give away every single year.
You're hearing this, guys.
Yeah, and many of us are on the panels that give out the scholarships. And so it's there's no magic to it, but you've got to be in it. to get it.
You got to be in it to win it.
So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Don't be discouraged.
So don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged.
Yeah.
Do not be discouraged. Although there is, these Achilles heels in terms of structural racism, and yes, it does cost a lot of money. I think that Lauren and Emma have been really proactive in explaining actually it is getting better and the doors are open and there are fantastic chambers like 25 Bedford Road that are doing awesome work to, increase that diversity. And I'm going to go on a little bit more of the sensitive side of the structural racism and just ask, how does structural racism affect Black people in the bar? And how have you been able to overcome those obstacles yourself? I know it's a bit of a big one. So how does structural racism affect?
It exists.
Right.
We can't pretend it doesn't exist. It's still a very elite, closed profession. Many of us did not get here through nepotism or because our father was a judge or somebody on the bench. We've got here through hard work and graft. For me, I had mentors. I had a Black woman mentor who is still my friend to this very day. And she encouraged me to always be one step ahead. So before I came to the bar, I worked for a firm of solicitors. And working for that firm of solicitors, that gave me the foot in the door because I was the only person in my family to embark on a career in law. So I knew absolutely nobody. Mini pupilages, they are like work experience before you actually do the pupillage. So you get your foot in the door. People get to know you. They know your face. That's the way we've overcome it. We've formed our own support system within Chambers. I set up a group within Chambers called Sisters in Law, and we are a very diverse set of chambers. There's still more work to do. The landscape has got to really change, but we are our own support mechanism. We network, we make sure that we're okay, we return work to each other, and that's how we are overcoming it and making sure that equality and diversity is not just lip service, it's actually put into action. Laurianne being chair of pupillage, that's recruitment.
Yes.
You can't underestimate the power of that. No pun intended.
No.
Got the power. Sisters-in-law. It's wow. It's just so big. It just blows my mind. And I see that global. When I think of that name, I don't just think of 25 Bedford Row. I think of the world. I think of all of the Black female lawyers across the globe, all of the people that you are inspiring in the next generation, the people that are coming up now that are listening to the show or they're really aspiring to law, and then those that had gone before you. And I think it's big.
Absolutely.
Really, don't underestimate that.
And that's the key. Massive. Well, that's the key too, because I remember sitting in the school down the road, which I spent a lot of very miserable years in, thinking I was nothing. And I remember having this one thought in my head that I was going to be a lawyer, a barrister, but it was so big, I couldn't fathom it really, but I kept it going. And so you've got to just actually realize that it's all achievable. It's all the profession we are in today is a very different profession than when we started. And I hope that by the time, those people who are coming up behind us into the profession, we're going to leave behind a very different profession. We do need to change a bit quicker, but Emma hit on a really important point. It's camaraderie, mentorship, sisterhood, brother. We've got to not necessarily stick together to the exclusion of everyone else, but recognize that we are our own greatest support systems and also call it out. Systemic racism exists within the profession, within all professions. But what we have to do is don't allow people to be comfortable within their privilege. Make their privilege feel uncomfortable to them. Also, a lot of people who benefit from the system that we operate within don't actually really appreciate the disadvantage that their privilege causes, not just people like me, because of course I'm already a barrister, so I can't be disadvantaged, but people outside looking in, because representation is absolutely everything. It's so important.
And it's important to be an ally as well for those people that are actually saying, by default, I have the privilege, but actually, I don't agree with this. And there are some really good people that do come up and say, God, listen,
Well, the thing we say, that's right, in the training, so we're on lots of different committees, but I'm proud of a few of them, but I'm most proud of the committee that I'm on, which is actually saying, hold on a minute, let's stop asking Black people and minority, ethnic and Asian people about discrimination and systemic racism. Let's have this conversation amongst ourselves and find out what we need to do, because we don't create the disparity. We're victims of it.
That's right.
And so we're not the problem. So now I think that there's a lot of education, a lot of training going on across the globe, but I think we're benefiting from that now. It's not going to change overnight, but certainly I think we're going in the right direction.
I would agree with that. And there is equality and diversity training happening within the legal profession. Even at the bench level, they are having to go through this training.
I think that we're living in a very diverse and very colourful world, and actually it's imperative. There's no choice about it, that it just really does need to happen. We're going to go into another short commercial break. Thank you everybody that is listening. Please do not touch that dial. We'll be right back.
This is Aisha. Her father died in an accident at a very young age. She lives with her mother and siblings. There are millions like Aisha who do not have access to the very basics of life, resulting in her and many others not being able to attend school. Through Minhaj Welfare Foundation, your charity is dedicated towards supporting the full needs of orphans and needy children around the world. Donate today. Call us now, 0300 30 30 777, or visit us on minhajwelfare.org.
Amigos, the signature name when it comes to burgers and shakes. Our succulent burgers are prepared in front of you while you wait. Whether you go for our 6-ounce Mexican or our 10-ounce Texan, or you decide to go for our messy fries or our buffalo wings, one thing you're guaranteed is quality. Dine in with your friends and family at 400 Cranbrook Road, Gants Hill, or order in on Uber Eats, Just Eat or Deliveroo. Amigos, hats off to great burgers.
The local COVID alert level across London is now high. To help stop the spread of coronavirus, do not meet people socially anywhere indoors. Only meet people outdoors in groups of up to 6. You must work from home if possible, and reduce the number of journeys you make. Find all the local restrictions and laws at gov.uk/coronavirus. Stay alert. Control the virus. Save lives.
We're facing the biggest health challenge of our generation, and we've shown that together we're stronger than ever. But to keep making a difference, we need to support each other. If you're a man and you've had coronavirus recently, then you might just have the antibodies to help save lives in your blood plasma. That's why we urgently need men to donate. Giving blood plasma is safe and easy. Be the difference. Search Donate Plasma or call 0300 123 2323 today.
The new NHS COVID-19 app immediately shows me the risk of coronavirus in my area, so I can warn Mel.
It lets me quickly check into venues with a QR scanner, so I can protect Alid.
It tells me fast if I've been in contact with other app users who have coronavirus, so I can alert Emma.
It helps me protect all my loved ones, even Auntie Sue. The more of us who get the app, the better we can control coronavirus. Protect your loved ones.
Get the NHS COVID-19 app.
Download now at Google Play or the App Store.
Hi, I'm Ian from the Windrush Help Team. If you came to the UK before the end of 1988 and are struggling to prove your legal status, I could help. You may also be entitled to compensation. I'm here to answer your questions and talk you through our application process. Anything you tell us will be treated sensitively and won't be passed on to immigration enforcement. Visit gov.uk/Windrush Help Team.
The Windrush Help Team, here to support you and your family.
Kebabish Original, one of the biggest names in the restaurant trade. Visit your local KO to experience the thrill of the grill and the most authentic Pakistani cuisine. From our kebabs to our curries and from our mixed platters to our peri-peri, our chefs prepare your food in front of you while you wait. KO is now offering franchise opportunities. To take advantage of our proven and successful business model, contact us on 0208 446 7779 or visit kebabishoriginal.co.uk.
Revive FM 94.0. On the radio, on your mobile,
and online.
Hello, and welcome back to the Power Hour with myself, Louise Power, and my guests, Lorianne and Emma. Welcome back, ladies.
Hello.
Hi. This has been such an interesting show. when I went on the break, I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. I absolutely love it. Like, these kind of shows make me feel emotional because this is what it's all about. Not just because, you know, you're my family and extended family and sisters in sisters, but just because this is the reason why I started the Power Hour, because I wanted to inspire people. I wanted real stories. I wanted to be able to reach the community, the people that really need the information, and also put excellent, wonderful women like yourselves on a platform to be celebrated, because you should be celebrated.
Thank you.
That's nice.
And I wanted to actually speak to you just very briefly about you, Emma. You mentioned about your mentors, but if you could just both of you just sum up a little bit about your mentors, that would be really good, because I think that's quite inspiring as well.
Well, my mentor was a barrister, and ironically, she was in the same set of chambers that I am in now, but we were like passing ships because she left a few years before me. She's gone on to teach law. She gave me so much guidance. She gave me encouragement, even down to things like my CV, even the interview. She gave me advice about not putting my eggs all in one basket. And she told me about paddling your own canoe. Making connections with people. She taught me about going into court, go and sit in a magistrate's court, go and sit in a Crown Court, go and see if this is for you.
Wow.
She's been formidable. Glenda Fontaine. Can I mention her? Glenda Fontaine.
Glenda Fontaine. Your name is in lights. Thank you, Glenda Fontaine. And what about you, Laura?
Mine was a bit strange because there weren't that many people close to me when I first entered. It was very lonely. Mm-hmm. And so my mentor was someone who started pupillage on the same day as me. And we've spent the past 21 years mentoring each other. I think there's probably very few days that goes by where we don't speak to each other. He's like a brother. He's one of my best friends, Gary Green. So I have had mentors, so people to look up to, people like Emma, people like Helen, who I'd heard stories about. And then once I engaged with them, I would call Emma and I'd say, can I run something by you? If I feel like cursing and swearing and ripping someone's head off, I'll call Helen and she will say, now breathe. Take a moment. I suggest you don't send that email until the morning. Sleep on it. You have committed no crime. It will all be okay.
She sounds like my friend. She sounds like my friend Lisa. The clarity. Everybody needs a clarity.
So calm. Yes, so calm. So there's a mixed bag, and then I must mention our friend. Our sister, our true sister, who is the first one of our number to become Queen's Counsel. Her name is Melanie Simpson. And Melanie and I have done many cases together over the years. And she's the person I go to when I want advice on something really difficult, but that needs someone who's going to take a risk. Because Mel is a risk taker. Yeah. She is fearless. And you know when you need somebody just to push you a little bit.
She sounds like a power.
Well, you know Mel. She was in Jamaica. But she's a risk taker, and she is meticulous in her examination of the facts and the law. Yeah. But she's the advocate that will go just a bit over and above, a bit beyond. And so I'll advise her when I want a bit of measure, reason, balance, I come to Emma. And then I've got Helen, who is just the chi. And then, then I've got Gary. So mentorship, yes, it's someone to look up to, but it's also about using those people in your circle on a daily basis. So for those people thinking of coming into the profession, find someone now. If you're at school, college, or if you think that your child might want to come into the profession, go online. There are organisations, so many organisations, Women in Criminal Law. There are Urban Synergy. There's the, I'll give a list and maybe you can put it up.
And Social Mobility Business Partnership.
Yeah, Urban Lawyers is another one.
Who I'm involved with. They do some excellent work. Headed up by a gentleman called Barry Matthews. Yeah. And they take young people to different law firms for experience as well.
Bridging the Bar is another one which bridges the gap between the communities and the bar. Yeah. There are so many. There are so many now.
And can I ask about we were speaking before the show about the first Black female barrister.
Yeah.
I actually learned something from you because you've done something on YouTube recently. And I would really love it if you could just share just a little bit about that.
I will. It's the background to it is that over the course of this lockdown period, I've had to find something to do, to be honest. So I started to research and look into the diaspora's contribution to the profession as we know it. And it threw up the most amazing of gems and pieces of information that we just would never know about. And the one that impressed me the most was a lady called Stella Jane Thomas. She was born in 1906. She was Nigerian, Yoruba, but with Sierra Leonean descent. Her father was the first African head of the Nigerian Chamber of Commerce. And she was the first ever Black female barrister to be called to the bar in this country.
I didn't know that. And I'm Nigerian.
The first ever female Black stipendiary magistrate in Nigeria, and celebrated across the world for her what they call emancipation of women lawyers and women across the board. So she came here, she studied at Oxford back in the 1920s. She was called to the bar in 1929 by Middle Temple, my inn, which was also the first inn to allow women to be called to the bar. And once she was called to the bar, she went back to Sierra Leone, was called to the Sierra Leonean bar. Then she went to Nigeria and set up her own law practice and married a fellow Nigerian. And, you know, the rest is history. She died very sadly 4 years after retiring in about 1968, I think. And just a remarkable woman who took on heads of state ferociously, telling one of the heads of states, we don't need you to come to Africa to educate us about how to run our own country. Give us back our resources and allow us to do it ourselves. And that was in 1930s. So that goes to show you the caliber of women. Those are the types of women that we need people to realize and recognize existed and know about.
Oh,
this
definitely.
is the history that should be taught in schools.
Yeah. I'd never heard of her until today. I'd really never heard of her.
Thank you for sharing.
No, there are so many more. I mean, we have things in the pipeline that we're going to be doing. Lots of really exciting work,
And I think actually that although it's Black History Month, like, you know, we had recently Loose Women. We had 4 Black women on Loose Women. That has just been awesome. Been speaking about it on LinkedIn and amongst friendship groups. But I think there's something about saying this, it's not just for Black History Month.
It's a bit tacky.
No, it's tacky. It should be for the whole year and beyond.
Yeah.
Our history shouldn't be confined to 1 month.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, we do it because it's the month of the year where people listen. And so it would be amiss to miss the opportunity.
Absolutely.
But we need to use the month to make people know that this is here to stay. And so, yeah, I think, you know, look, we have it. It's here. We didn't create it. We didn't necessarily want it. No other race of people or no other ethnic group has it.
Yeah.
But insofar as it's there, let's use it to shine a light on what we want to be doing for 12 months of the year.
And we want all of the leaders and the CEOs and the brand names and the corporates and the broadcasters to know that this is something that everybody wants to see on a permanent basis. I'd like to see it until it's not a thing.
Absolutely.
Until we're no longer talking about it. Until
because it shouldn't be about Black history. It's our history.
Yeah, it's our history. And just as much as it is, you know, we learn about the other kinds of history in schools and such like. So we've got a couple of minutes and then the show's going to come to an end. So I just wanted to say thank you for today.
Thank you for having us.
And what does the future hold? What does the future look like? I mean, we've had a bit of a crazy year with, you know, George Floyd and the sudden murder. I don't say death because it was a murder of George Floyd. And then, you know, the global uprising of Black Lives Matter out of that. And then we've had coronavirus as well. And there's just so much going on. Sometimes we just don't know what it's going to be like when we get up in the morning, do we? You know, how do you feel about the climate?
It's been a very emotionally charged year. the death of George Floyd, the murder, as you rightly say, has really shone a light globally on the importance of Black life. It does matter. And if the death of George Floyd has meant that there has been awakening in people's consciousness about us as Black people and that we exist and we have a right to be here and to have exactly the same privileges as every other race, then something positive has come out of this year. I think the lockdown has been a mixed blessing. It's forced us all to pause, to reevaluate, to look at what really matters, family, health. And it's forced us into looking at working differently, learning and acquiring new skills. I've learned about Zoom and Teams. I'm not very technical, but I've learned about it. I know how to use it now. I know how to do a webinar. And so, yeah, for many reasons, it's been positive. I'm quite optimistic about the future. I think our voice is now being heard more than ever. And I think we should use it to our advantage. I think the future is potentially positive. I think the landscape is going to change. It has to change.
And yourself? Yeah?
I agree. I think we must keep pushing. We can never afford to become complacent. We can't think that just because people are speaking about this now, that they ever genuinely really care about change or that they actually want change. And so we have to continue to make people feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
Every single day until they no longer feel uncomfortable. And so I think, yes, positivity, I think, is what we need, with a degree of realism about what we're facing. It's a real uphill battle, but we need to be united in it. We cannot afford for there to be division amongst us as communities. This is the time for us to draw on each other, whatever your tone, whether you come from the continent, whether you come from an island, whether you come from this religious group or that, it's time for us to draw together and use our resources and unite.
Where can people contact you both? Where are you contactable?
LinkedIn, 25 Bedford Row. Our emails should be up there. We are accessible.
We are, yeah. I mean, if you want to email, if you can't go into our individual ones, just Clarks, CLERKS @25bedfordrow.com, or our names, Aquadike, lpower@25bedfordrow.com. If your child is thinking about a career in law and you want a bit of feedback, feel free to email us.
Absolutely, they can contact us. They can email us direct.
Yeah, if they want some work experience, contact us.
Thank you. It hasn't this just been an amazing show. I feel so blessed. Thank you, both of you.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank you for having us.
You're an inspiration you are truly an inspiration as well, Louise, because without people like you in our communities willing to provide a platform for people like us to share our journeys with, then none of it matters. And so you are actually the true champion of all of this. So thank you.
Well done, Louise.
Wow, I'm overwhelmed. You have been locked into the Power Hour with myself, Louise Power, Lorianne Power, and Emma Woodicay. Take care. We'll be back again next week at the same time. This has been just awesome, guys. I just loved every minute of it. See you again next week, same time, same place.
If you want to advertise your business